What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today?
Yo.
Ant's camera is
Yeah.
not loading currently, but
Oh,
that's.
is it not?
Oh, it's on for me.
Is it on for you? Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, it's on for
There
me.
it goes. Um, so, hold on one second. Okay. Welcome to episode 19 of Run It Down. Obviously, we just finished up Major 4 this past weekend, which is the last major of the season, meaning that the next tournament, which is going to take place in 2 weeks, is Champs.
Let's go. Champs. Right
Vamos.
on the corner, fucking corner.
Fuck up
Hello,
the
hello,
fuck the green
Splash.
wall.
Hola, Splash. Hola.
That's Splash.
Um, obviously, there's a lot of interesting things that happened at this past tournament, which we will kind of get into the results. Besides the results, though, there was a lot of little things that happened. Like we said, we kind of figured we'd be able to hear the players talking trash to each other. We obviously knew there was going to be no crowd and that there was going to be a lot of champs like scenarios at stake. So, there's a lot of things that could have happened, and a lot of things definitely happened. We had
Definitely.
we had teams go a lot farther than we expected. We had teams not make champs in very unfortunate ways. We had a lot of trash talk going on. But I ain't gonna lie, the aura was a little ass. I'm not.
Yeah.
There was negative aura going on during the games. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie, there should have been a lot more trash talk between phase.
Yeah, I feel like personally I was like more excited for the trash talk than I was the games, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Cause we're in the atmosphere. Like when I saw they were mic'd, well, not mic'd up, but like you could very clearly hear what they're saying post match or even in between games. I was like, damn, this could be fire. And then the whole scrap clay thing happened, and I was like, oh damn, this shit really gonna be fire. And after that, it was just like downhill.
Scrap was the only one talking shit like that.
Well, I think from what I heard that if you guys don't know, Scrap did tell Clay, or Clay told Scrap to
To unalive himself.
unalive himself, which
In
is
game.
out of context sounds insane. But in the Call of Duty context, it's not that crazy.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing that people say. They don't mean it. He didn't mean it. It's just shit talk. That's a normal thing that happens. But
And it
from
was
what
in the
I
heat of the moment too.
yeah, but from what I know, they didn't know that because in the first, I guess apparently the first day of the tournament, you couldn't hear them. And then they didn't know that second day you were gonna be able to hear them. So then
Mm.
once players found out that the fans could hear them, I think they stopped like
Or
doing
like simmered it down type of thing.
yes, yeah.
That makes sense.
The Miami Heretics versus Toronto was funny. The ending of it.
Everyone talks shit to Miami at this point. I think everyone hates Miami, like
That
genuinely.
you Vic or Claudio, fuck the green wall.
I,
That's
Damn.
my favorite saying of the
Like
fucking
dude,
the
a la,
whole
la, la,
weekend.
a la mierda. Fuck up
Yeah,
the fuck the green one.
dude,
fuck
all
up the.
if dude, I don't know.
I
If
love
they don't
Vico,
even
bro.
have to play Optic, like they literally no matter who they play, they're playing in Texas, it might be
Oh yeah, it might be fucked.
yeah, it might be you okay? Sorry, my dog just
Hitting the
uh
Benjamin.
bruh. Um yeah, they're gonna get booed pretty hard, is my guess.
Really.
100%.
And if they play Optic,
Fuck up the.
oh man.
Oh, and if they lose to Optic, oh my god. Bye. He's gonna be like, bye. He's gonna
I
be
think
fucking
I
scared.
think Pred might start flipping them off. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, 100%.
We're gonna see middle fingers flying everywhere.
Hey, man. The way Optic's been playing. Oh, no.
Who knows? At least they have 2 weeks, which obviously we'll get into the results clearly.
Kenny did tweet out the other day, this is where the fun begins. And I was like, oh, shit.
Well, it's champs. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Fucking literally anything. Now, like, this is all that matters. It doesn't even matter about any of the past tournaments anymore.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, because this one, it was more so about who was gonna make it than anything, and then obviously the winner, who we didn't expect to win, but this season has been. I was telling them, I felt like it's been almost scripted. It's
Oh,
been
100%. Dude, I'm telling you, bruh. Optic won to boost temp sales, bruh.
it's
And now, New York just to complete the storyline in the top 4.
yeah, it's the this year has been really weird. Um, there's been too many like, it's like the coincidence. I guess not. I don't know how to explain. There's too many coincidences. How do you?
Yeah, you said it
Yeah,
right.
like it's just weird. But I guess that that's COD for you. I don't know. I do feel like it's hard to say. I kind of feel like the update had a really big impact on the bad teams being better because something as little as making the MCW have a better headshot multiplier low key reduces a skill gap in my opinion a little
And
bit.
the spawns changed
Yeah. I mean,
and trophies.
yeah, it's I definitely think that the skill gap was lowered from this last update. Not only that, the not as good teams were trying a lot harder.
Yeah.
So,
Plus, S&D was fucking ass in terms of like, I heard that since now you know how you have 2 trophies in S&D and 3 trophies in Hardpoint. So in 2 trophies in S&D, it forces players to whoever has the 2 trophies to go to certain sites. For example, you know how 6 star, you know how everybody pushes A with the fucking tax, everybody runs tax in A. They said that now it forces people who run trophies to go to A. So they're like their positioning in S&D is different because if you only won one trophy, no, if the person that has the trophy is A by himself or him and somebody else that doesn't have a trophy, they could just bang out fucking tax and shit. You know how trophies get destroyed in two. So after that, it's just a free easy site for them. So I feel like it definitely changes stuff out for certain maps.
yeah, I mean S&D is definitely a mess. Me personally, I don't see the point of keeping S&D at 2 trophies. I understand the aspect of people need to be able to use smokes, but realistically, if every single player on a team throws a stun, then they have 4 nades that are still gonna go flying with
Yeah.
no trophies, and that's if both players have a trophy. Like, I personally think if you're gonna have 3 trophies on hardpoint, that you probably should do it on S&D as well. Personally, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we saw a lot of just straight nades and stuns getting thrown everywhere.
Right? Bang outs from fucking
Yeah.
6 star and Rio.
Um, 6 star is looking strange because everyone just runs to the same site. They throw a smoke at they throw a smoke out of you and they just run through it. That's like
Yeah.
what happens almost every round because you can't do anything else. Like it's just throw a smoke, throw a trophy, stuns, nades flying everywhere. People just running through a smoke. And then there's so many times where people are just getting killed through smokes, or people are jumping out and they just get massacred. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see because now every team has 2 weeks to figure everything out. So I feel like we're gonna see teams look a lot different at champs. I would assume so because
Hopefully.
you have
I'll get a little more into that later.
you have 2 weeks. So the one ways, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too. Like people were literally running into smokes and then standing at the edge of smokes because you can't see them and you can see out of it, and it was just. I will say SMD in this game wasn't bad. It was better than last year. Like, and it because obviously you have Dead Silence, so it's better than Van. This game had a better SMD than most, but this last update has made it very chaotic, and it's
Yeah.
very so it's very strange to see. But and the MCW, to be honest, is just broken. It now it's just really fucking good. It's
I remember one way used to be banned. Back in Vanguard, the one-way smoking was Z8, so people just stopped running
well,
smokes.
Smokes got
Yeah,
G8 in
Yeah.
Vanguard, yeah.
because of that.
I mean, I
What do you
really
guys think of it?
I just think like obviously I don't think the guns needed to be changed. I don't think anything needed to be changed when it came to trophies and guns. I felt like the MCW change was unnecessary. The trophy change was unnecessary. The only things that realistically needed to change were the boots because they were way too loud, which they
Yeah.
changed,
Definitely.
and the barrel. I mean, the barrels and the explosive like interactive stuff on high res and stuff, which still they said they changed and it
And
really
yeah, it hasn't
didn't.
changed at all.
So I mean, to be
I
fair,
heard they're still. I heard they're playing on the old patch.
they were playing. So they were playing on the new patch, but it was still glitched where it was still blowing up. So
So
they
they put on.
never. So when they fixed it, they were still playing on when it wasn't fixed. I
Ah,
think is my assumption.
that's what I heard. They're playing like they said they played on a new patch, but then like they switched back to it because obviously it was still like it was glitchy. But when they fixed it, they were still on the old patch and they're still playing it through like the major. I'm pretty sure. So everything was still blowing up
Yeah.
and causing everything.
So
I think now they should be on a new patch though.
yeah, I'm assuming champs. We won't see people getting blown up on high rise anymore, which would be at
That'd be good.
first. I will say personally, at first it made things interesting.
Oh
At,
yeah, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that seeing those like last second like oh the
yeah, the
thing
health
blows up
packs.
freaking three piece that they're on point they capture forces around but like those moments like that I'm gonna miss them because it made the game a lot more interesting but at the same time it is kind of cheesy. Oh my. It is kind of
Oh my
cheesy
god.
that the reason you lost a round was because of something that had nothing to do with the other team outplaying you. It was just more so your teammate, you know, missed a nade or just like misplaced a nade and bang, your whole team's dead now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is kind of like you at first for me it was like that's hilarious, like oh my god that's crazy, made crazy moments, but now it just happens so often that I'm just like bro, like I'm over it, like just like now it's to the point where it's like it happens too often. it it fucks with games, it fucks with like at it now it's to the point where it's like everyone's just tired of it. They're like again, like that shit blew up and killed everybody again, like it's just, and even then like people are getting blown up from barrels inside elevator, like you can't escape it.
Dude, I saw that or
You can't
the
escape
the
it.
pred thing
I
when
think it
they were
was
when he was in
Kenny,
their
no?
spawn. Or I don't know if it was Pred or Kenny, but when the barrel blew up and he was in their spawn and he died from it.
Oh,
I
that
saw
was
that.
Pred. Yeah, that was. But I think Kenny one time was in the elevator and a barrel blew up, like a small barrel blew up and killed him in there. It's. I don't. I think interactive stuff like that should probably be turned off when you're in a.
1000%.
Like I don't think that stuff needs to be on. I don't think it's necessary. As for the health bug, I do know you're talking about Splash. I think I saw something about that. That like you don't your health doesn't come back at the same rate. I think on the new patch, it's like messed up.
Oh
Like
shit.
like you'll sometimes like you don't reheal as fast as someone else. Like it's not consistent. It's not supposed like obviously there's supposed to be a certain amount of time as when you start rehealing, and it's not the same. It's like all messed up right now.
Bring stims back. Kidding.
Yeah,
Kidding.
regen at different speeds. There you go.
My LB was broken from the stims, bro. Freaking, I would freaking die. This freaking start spamming the freaking stim, bro. BO4 was a good game though, but you know.
I mean, I don't ever think stims will be back, and I just think it's because like
That's
they're
the only.
they're
That's like
just
one of the very few things that people hated about BO4
they're just
was like
too. It's too cheesy.
Imagine if there wasn't any
It's
stims.
too. It's
it is.
too,
It is very cheesy. You can get somebody one shot, and then you can slide and tell them to try to fierce to kill their full health already.
Yeah, it's.
Imagine if there wasn't any stims though.
That game would have been goated. That game is really good.
Yeah, I still like it.
Yeah, I think I still had a really good time on it.
I mean, obviously the next COD is gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a lot like Cold War, but better because it'll be an actual finished game because Cold War wasn't.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We don't want to get too much into that because we got 2 weeks of things where we actually don't have as much to talk about, so we can probably talk about that stuff more on the next 2 weeks. But for this week, we'll get into the actual games now and the results of what happened this past weekend because this weekend was definitely.
You know what we should do next week?
Hmm?
Since next week will probably be like a shorter episode, we should all make a game.
All W.
And then we'll play like 3 different games. Then we can just talk about some random bullshit, like if there's some roster change happening or whatever.
There's no
I'll
roster
do that.
changes.
No, I'm saying like in terms of like the World Cup teams.
Oh,
I know Minnesota's going with a different team.
And so I was gonna say we could all make like a game because I already have like something in mind.
me too.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from what I know, I heard Minnesota's going with the different. I think Linz is the only one that is for sure going to be on the team for the World Cup.
I heard they're picking up somebody from Challengers. His name is what's his name? Pepsi.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I do know though that Optic hasn't said they're going to play yet.
Which is an odd behavior.
It's surprising, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we kind of get into the games from this last weekend. We knew that the winners bracket was a lot different than it's ever been. We saw Vegas play Seattle. It was a really big game for Vegas because Vegas needed to win it. If they win this, they were basically going to have a really good chance of making champs. And Seattle takes them to a game 5. It was. I mean, Vegas was that close to making champs, really.
They're one round away.
1 round away from making champs. Or at least, I think they were close. It would have been a lot closer.
This would have been the first year Vegas was in gyms.
Yeah. But Seattle's just really good at S&D. I mean, my dog is being a brat right now. I think it's exciting to see like Seattle in champs because they obviously improved a lot and they're going to be one of those teams that could upset anybody at any moment. Vegas had a good run towards the end, but I think it was a little too late. They didn't play bad necessarily. They just could never get their S&Ds down. Fun fact, by the way, if you guys we haven't done this. They just updated Breaking Point from the last time we streamed. They now
really?
have clips for every map of important moments in games, which is insane because now
That's
I can
fire,
just click
though.
on this and just start it. It's a small clip of something.
W.
Our recaps are about to be twice as long now.
Wait, twice
Really?
is better though. Twice is better weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Now they can do it here. Looking to take
Oh,
control.
yeah.
Oh, I
now.
remember
20
this.
seconds left. Here we go. Johnny, he's dropping 35. Johnny, he's lining him up with a triple. And that is the map. Legion have done it. A banger.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to go through all of them because there's a bunch. But
Oh, you can tell us what it is too.
Yeah, but they do tell us what they are, which is really cool. So shout out Breaking Point because this is awesome.
Wait, watch the Boozer one.
Brezzy winning one on the other side of it. Now over to Johnny. Hides
This
in
could
the
have won
bush.
the game right here.
Trying to peek, then Chow flies out. Can't win it. 1 versus 1. Attach. Abuza sends it. Gets the final 2 and then a fuse.
Yeah, I would have been so checked.
Brezzy winning one on the other side of it. Now over to
We
Johnny.
lost 2 rounds in a row.
Bush.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
Trying to
attached there,
peek,
like
then
you
Chow
kind of
flies out. Can't win it. 1
just
versus
kind
1.
of supposed to
Attach.
run, no?
Back the fuck off, yeah.
Yeah,
Gets
like
the final 2 and then a fuse. We're going to around.
I don't know. I think obviously there was a lot of pressure felt in a lot of situations like this. 04 we know is really good at S&D. A lot of the new players like 04 Flames, players that rookies in the league Gwyn have been really good at S&D. So Geo, like so we've seen S&D the games change a lot. But I mean, Attach has a bad game for once, and it's kind of cost them. I mean, these 102 and 101 kills
No,
and
bro.
you still lose a series is, I mean, just
That was just like team outplaying the other team.
yeah.
If you look at stats alone, you don't look at the prizes. You're like, oh, Vegas won.
Yeah.
No, no.
And then followed up by a really good game 5, we get probably the biggest upset we've seen all season, I think, in my opinion. On LAN, 100%.
Oh, on land, yes. On land, yes.
I don't count. Online upsets don't. I don't think they. I don't know if I would count online upsets because we saw LAG beat. We saw LAG beat FaZe on LAN. Like
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention.
Like it's on LAN, it matters. It's a lot more, and I think seeing LAG beat Toronto on LAN, I was like, holy shit, LAG is gonna make champs. First of all. Second of all, I was like, wait, since Toronto lost, we now have New York, who we'll get into, Optic, and Toronto all in the first round of losers. So FaZe has basically a free road to the finals. It was very weird. Estriel played really good this game. I think Estriel
has been important for LAG.
Obviously, he's
probably their best player.
I agree.
It's hard to say. I was looking at all their stats. They're all very like back and forth. Like they're all very close. The only person I think that doesn't stand out is Fame. But Estriel, Flames, and DiamondCon are all very close to each other. Like they all are pretty impactful. Estriel just had a really good game against Toronto. He was the most important player in this game for sure. I mean, especially in even when they're losing in control, he's the only one who has anywhere near a positive KD. So I mean, I don't know how much this shows. It's hard to say because Toronto looked bad in this game, but then they proceeded to not really look bad in their next 3 games after this. So it's really hard to say how I felt about this LAN because there was just a lot of weird stuff that happened.
All I know is that shout out DiamondCon. He's the one who got my my prize picks win. So
Shut up, bro.
Yeah, I mean, even like then, like I don't know, like I've seen doesn't Toronto? I feel like Toronto usually likes to play sub base, and sub base wasn't banned here, and they didn't play sub base. I don't necessarily know if it was a map pick thing or just a team scenario thing where they felt like they could, they end up picking Karachi and then they lose by almost 100 points. So like at that point you kind of like you're losing your maps, your map that you chose by over almost 100 points. Like that's to a team that you felt like you should win, and even obviously people commenting here that it's a DoorDash and people feel like it should be a boring game. I guarantee you no one predicted, if anything maybe 1% of people predicted that LAG would win this game. So it's like
especially in the 3-1.
Yeah, it was definitely a surprising one for sure. Not too much to say about this game. We had a feeling FaZe would beat New York. We always knew that.
Yeah. That was kind of an easy read there. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty much just a slammage simp. It's drops a 1.44. Hydra has a bad game, which means New York is gonna have a bad game. So it's just one of those just that you kind of see coming. Can't really say much about it. Which sends, like I said, New York into losers, which puts 3 of the top 4 teams all in losers. LAT versus Miami. This was also a really big game because the team that wins this puts themselves in champs. Basically, it was guaranteed that the team that wins this game makes champs. LA Thieves ends up winning this game. Ghosty is the only person that goes positive. Wow, that's such a shocker.
Yeah.
It's almost what happens every time.
Every win, bro.
But
Damn near every win.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't just that he was the only one that went positive. He literally did everything this game. I mean, it's kind of insane that you have a player drop a 1.5 and no one and win 3-1 and not a single person even gets a 1 KD, which is like insane to me. I mean, he drops 36 on map 4. I mean, we can even look like towards the end of this, like how they end up winning this game. I feel like I recall.
Here comes Lucky's Cruise, all towards the new point. Well, that new point is indoors. They're going to be able to survive this.
Yeah, like Miami retakes this. At this point, I thought Miami won this map.
Look at the spot there. Look at Metals.
And this, I remember this vividly. Metals fucked up so bad. And I remember this because he's sitting in this corner. Or not Metals. Real. What is Real doing? They need 13 points to win, right? Real then proceeds to run out of the point and then just lay down in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then gets back in. And then they look what they get to. 145. Why did he get out of the point?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah, you could have stayed in there.
Maybe he was trying to check his back.
I don't know, there's 2 kills right there, but it's too late already.
Go see 3 feet.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is the nades. They were throwing nades and he was trying not to die to the nades. But realistically, he needed to get in the hill, lay down. Metals had the corner. They pushed. Metal has a kill. At least one.
Remember that shit?
And then the
That was, yeah, I mean, Miami choked, really. I mean, they could have taken this to a map 5. I think it's insane. I mean, the little mistakes. But the thing is, it's interesting because now we're seeing just little mistakes like that costing so many games. Like, it's, like, not, like, uncommon now.
a lot of games were not like what's it called, the 100-point clubs or anything like that. Like anything like that sort. It's like these games in long land were 250, 240, 250, 230. It was really, really close games.
Yeah. I mean, even like obviously there's not too much to say about Toronto versus Carolina, but like even in these games where it's a 3-0, it's like, wow, that looks bad. But then they go game 5, round 11, and then they go round 5 on control. Like Carolina didn't even look that bad. Like
Yeah.
they
Very, very close loss.
yeah, it's
Whoa, Luna.
it's one of those games. What happened? Oh,
Luna's
she's doing
chilling.
it again.
Oh, is she going crazy?
She was going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Scrap has a good game, but he always does. And obviously this was a close game for Carolina, and Carolina really needed this win because if they don't win this, they're out of champs because LAG won their game, and Vegas definitely still had a chance to make it at this point. Miami still had a chance to make it because they were in losers, but this was an important game, and as soon as Carolina lost this, Carolina in a sense kind of got screwed. They don't make winners because LAT beats New York online, so they end up in losers. And then they'll probably end up playing LAG. Nope, LAG upsets Toronto, and now they have to play Toronto for champs, and now they're out of champs.
It was insane.
Yeah, Carolina got the shit end of the stick, 100%. You feel bad because they almost got like.
Clay almost like it's always Clay, bro. Every year. Last year they almost clutched up, but when they had Standy and Clay, they couldn't do it.
Oh,
This year,
on Paris.
on Paris, and this year, this shit happens. Like so unlucky.
Yeah, it's definitely unlucky. I mean,
Did you see that tweet where it was like Optic after Major 3, and there was a picture of Paris where there was Temp, John, and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
two other
yeah.
people? I was like, damn, that's fucked.
yeah. Um. Yeah, it's definitely a rough one for Carolina. Obviously, Vegas wasn't going to lose to Boston, and we all saw that. And New York wasn't
Yeah.
going to lose to Minnesota. A really big game that same day was Optic versus Miami. This was a game
Fuck
that
Optic.
was.
Fuck the green.
This was a game that once again Optic lost because
And S&D.
they can't win.
Yet
an S&D.
another game 5.
Yeah, another game 5 where they can't win an S&D. And honestly, out of all the game 5s where they lost both S&Ds, this one looked like they were gonna finally fucking win an S&D.
Yeah.
It literally,
Bro, I
we
remember you called it. You were like, if this goes around 11, Optic's losing, because you said that every time they go around 11, something unfortunate happens to them.
every time I said word to word to like word for word to Ant. If this goes to round 11, Optic's gonna push out, lose a first blood, and as soon as that first person dies, everyone's gonna start pushing out, and they're all gonna die instantly, and they lose the round.
I will say Pred sold the fuck out of them
Yes,
this
that's what I was gonna say. This game looked like Optic should win this. They were up 3-1. They had it. And it was like, oh, maybe they fixed their S&D. And Pred just started fucking sprinting down the fucking map, just running it down, bro, like it was hard point. Bro just started sprinting, just out in the open. He did it, I think, 3 or 4 times where Optic had numbers. And then Pred just says, nah, fuck the numbers. I'm sending my life. It was... Now, I will say, there's been a lot of talk about if Optic doesn't do good at champs, who would they drop? Everyone's saying Pred. Everyone's saying Pred. That's
everybody's saying either. They're saying either Pred or Kenny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
said Pred because of the Seattle team. Because the Seattle team environment he was in, like Pred was the person who was pushing out. Pred was the one who was like doing like everything. Because you know how Mac was literally the person in Hill or person was supporting. Like he was not the one making the plays. Pred was the one pushing out, going 3 pieces and stuff. And they said on this Optic team, Pred can't be that person anymore due to Shotzi always being that man who makes plays and pushing out and like doing all that kind of stuff. So when it's Shotzi and Pred together, like he's got to learn to slow down a bit, and like he's still like learning how to do that because in this environment, this Optic environment they have right now, like he can't be that person like how he was on Seattle. So people
But
are saying like,
personally, I feel like that's something. Like I get it's very hard to just switch up like that, but I feel like an issue like that is something you try to resolve at the beginning of the. That's something you notice at the beginning.
well, yeah, but
And,
I think the thing was he fixed it.
Yeah.
And then now he's there doing bad. And he's
And now they're
getting
trying to find
desperate. He's
something.
getting desperate. Because what do we know Pred for doing, though? Like, we can say he plays aggressive sometimes, but what do we know him for doing? Laying on his fucking belly. He lays on his belly and, like, just shoots people in the back all the time. Lays in the corner, sits in the corner, lays prone. All of a sudden, he didn't want to do that anymore. And it's because, realistically, he was having a bad game. He was trying to force kills, and he got desperate. But the thing is, like, people are gonna say they need to drop Pred. And it's either Pred or Kenny. And I think obviously Pred and Kenny had played the worst. Obviously this past,
100.
this past major, but like Pred and Kenny were playing good. They were playing good up until this last major.
Bro, people were praising Pred. Fucking obviously, Shotzi was always, especially the major they won. He was popping off that whole tournament. But after that, it's like you see Pred. It was always Pred and Shotzi, the little sub duo they had. At least from what I see, there's always them two like getting like an absurd amount of like love and stuff like that. But I think most of it was just due to the fact that Pred always just gets loud and gets hype. But
Yeah,
still, like Pred was a very, very good player. He
I
still
mean,
is a good player, but like you said, I feel like he's just getting desperate because of how poorly they're playing.
yeah. I mean, realistically, I think Optic has a chance to be perfectly fine at champs. They just need to understand that they don't really need to be desperate. Like,
Yeah,
Pred obviously played. We have known Pred to play good on land every major, and this is a first. We know he's better on land every time, and he always plays good against Miami every time. And now he didn't. Obviously, Optic's most consistent player is Dashi. He's been the only player that's done good all the whole season. Like he never does bad, but like Pred didn't just not isn't just not doing good. Pred fell off, and Kenny did too. But I think it's just at this point we said it last time. It's just mental. It's all mental because we know they're better. It's just getting over the fact that they just need to just slow it down. Maybe just not overthink it and just play their normal the way they have been the past 6 months. Like so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I will say though, Miami looked good. Miami didn't look bad at all. They obviously lost against LAT, and they ended up beating Optic finally because they could never beat Optic, and they ended up finally beating them after the whole 3-0 curse thing. And even when they played Toronto, I don't think they looked bad. They beat Toronto on the first map. They took the next map to around 11, and they almost win the map 4. Like, in my opinion, Miami should be. They made champs. They should be. I think they have potential in champs. I'm not upset about even if they come in top 8 or top. What is it? Top 8, right? Top 8.
Top 8.
Even if they place top 8, I'm still happy with this because you looked good against Toronto. You beat Optic. You looked good against Toronto. That's good enough. You make champs. I don't think obviously you should be beating a team like LAT, but like I mean I think a lot of these middle of the pack teams are looking a lot better, and I think even if you're losing 3-1, just the same way Carolina lost 3-0, if you're taking Toronto to a map 5 and only losing by 10 points on 6-star, which even then we can look at this map 4. I believe they choked this, didn't they? They did. I mean Miami's kind of pulling an Optic impression in choking maps right now. So, I don't know. I mean, Toronto, in my opinion, is getting away with a lot right now. They're getting away with some pretty close games. And Envoy has played okay, but I think we see Toronto play good online, and then they just kind of fall off a little bit. They don't look consistent. But I don't know. It's like if I look at New York, I look at Optic, I look at FaZe, I can kind of see when they do bad what the problem is. When it comes to Toronto, I don't really know. Like when they play bad, they just kind of play bad. I don't really know how to. I don't really have an explanation for it.
Almost desperate for that near full 60 now. Fighting
I'm trying to
one from Real.
look at this. What
Unaware
the hell?
Insight stays alive. Here comes the hit through lobby. Vical fighting tooth and nail to break it. They're in.
See, like, why are they out of the point? Why does Miami always do that?
And it has to come now.
That is unbelievable. They just straight up walk through the hill. They saw the timings, and it falls into their lap. Envoy gives
And
you
they're not
one,
in the
but
point
it's
again.
just to soften up the blow. Heretic's now in control. And Scrap with the gunny. Just a slugfest right now around P3.
A lovely needle thread there. Over to Lucky. Renetti doesn't work out. It's over
Oh
two.
my
Kleenex
God.
over the top. 20 seconds to go here. You start to think
Yeah,
about
it's insane.
Start to think about the game 5. Medals trying to hold him at bay, but number 5, Scrap spawns.
P3
Yeah,
every
I mean,
single time.
WP from Lucky there though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Miami kept it close, but you can't choke games like that against I mean, they did it against LAT and they did it against Toronto as well. But I guess they didn't really care because they make champs because what happened before that? Vegas lost to New York. I mean, I don't think anyone really thought they were low-key going to win this anyways, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for Vegas because they got better, but it was just
Too late.
too late. That's really all it was. It was just a little too late. If Vegas started with this team at the beginning of the season, they probably would have been a pretty decent team.
Yeah.
Top 6.
And then after that, FaZe beat Seattle. Seemed pretty obvious, but Seattle did, I think, choke a game or two. They did choke the S&D. I do remember that.
Oh, play the clip.
Which one?
Round 11.
When he's feeling the need to go,
They're like blacked out
just
here.
wait to look through the smoke. Spots one top, able to win that fight. Now on to double digits. Hooked through the smoke somehow with the help of the team.
Like,
Abizi able to win that. It's Abuza now
Abizi
last
just won the
alive.
game,
13 and 5, 4 straight for Abizi. The S&D guys taking over. This one is done. 3 straight rounds to seal it.
Look at them all happy. They lost though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think obviously Seattle looks good, but they don't look good enough to beat a FaZe right now. But LAG still needed this because they were still a little low on points, so they still needed this win to make champs, and they didn't just win; they slammed LAT. Obviously, Ghosty is a big part of this team, and he didn't drop a 1.5 this time, so I guess that means they lost because he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
he went positive, but he didn't go positive enough.
Yeah.
Play the clip.
What clip?
The last clip.
The win?
Map win. Yep.
That's sensational. Mid-map,
That's
cut
all
down
from
again.
McGavin.
The Thieves
Skip it a little
back to
bit.
spawn.
Hunting cramped down as well. Easy wins there, Thieves. 40 seconds left. And they're about to be, what, 1 in 14 on the offensive end in the past 2 months, unless they can make some magic happen. First 2 kills, and now they got 3 players roaming around the spawn.
Big problem though, Flames. High and out of laundry.
Oh.
Good
Two-piece.
lord.
Oh.
Nearly. You hear the comms. Calling out Krem. The time now goes to red. Krem down. Flames on. Pressure. Nasty still alive at the back spawn though. 15 seconds.
Fame's got it though. Fame's got it. Clean shots as well. I mean, not even remotely close to touching this A zone. Gorillas again. Shout out to Flames. Just for the kill feed.
Yeah,
Doing a
Flames
little bit
was-
extra. Ghosty last second heroics. About to get overrun. That pillar, he is working some magic. But only so much you can do. But this might be enough to get number 3. Can't get it done.
Oh my god. Obviously, like, you see it in these series that Flames was playing really good. He dropped a 1.3 against LAT, and obviously we kind of said when Flames joined this team that he had a big impact because they looked way better as soon as he joined. Not only just in
Way
S&D, but in general. And I mean, I think LAG is one of those teams that kind of just shows, like, if you just kind of stick with the team, like you have, like, and just work on the team you have, you'll improve. Like, you're bound to improve if you just stick it out, because a lot of these teams have been changing things around. Look what happened to Minnesota. I mean, Boston just went to shit. I mean, obviously, Vegas improved, but it was a little too late. So, I mean, LAG was one of those teams that kind of just stuck it out and just kept the team they had even when they weren't playing well. And every time they showed up on LAN, they always showed up on LAN. Like, and from that win, it was either going to be LAG or LAT in top 3, which is already, like, we were all up to that point. It's like,
Yeah.
what, this tournament's insane. Like, what is going on? And obviously that put LAT in a really bad scenario because they have to play New York. But at that point, they're already in champs because Vegas lost, Miami lost, Carolina lost. Like, there's LAG's in and LA Thieves is in. So at that point, it's not really. It's just up to seeding. Seattle ends up playing decent against Toronto. Like I said, Toronto was getting away with a lot this tournament. Um, Seattle had bad S&Ds because I don't know why. They always have good S&Ds, and then this time they just didn't. I think Toronto gets away with that because Seattle typically is a really good S&D team. But obviously this game that wasn't the case, but they still took it to a game 5. I mean, these are really weird scores. You see 250 to 165, 250 to 125. Like, but once again, just like Miami, these teams are still competing like against these better these top 4 teams. Um, in this case, I mean, LA Thieves played New York. I mean, this one I wouldn't say they're really competing that well, but I mean, I don't know. I think LA Thieves just really has to figure out a system where Ghosty can't be the only guy who's doing everything.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
Look at Hydra, bro.
Yeah, I mean, 102 kills, 1.38 KD.
48 positive.
Up until this point, New York started in the losers basically, and they made a really big run and got all the way to Championship Sunday. Same with Toronto, basically starting in losers and going all the way to Championship Sunday as well. Um, and going into the beginning of the day, it looked like Toronto's probably going to beat New York. And, you know, New York made a good losers run. Toronto's probably going to make a good losers run, and that's how it's going to end. But Toronto just gets slammed. They got away, in my opinion. They looked bad most of the tournament, and they got away with a lot. And when it came to them playing one of the top 4 teams, they just they didn't
Freaking
have anything.
Paco, you might be lagging. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Crap had a horrible series this game.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto everyone just played bad. Sib started frying. I mean, people were criticizing Sib a lot for obviously not, people saying like, oh, they should have kept Priesta, but Sib was frying this tournament. He did really well. I mean, obviously you're not gonna fry better than Hydra. It's almost impossible. But
Look,
I mean, you can even look at the highlight reel. Like, there's not a single Toronto.
I was just about to say that. I was gonna say, look, just no Toronto wins.
It was just kind of a murder. Um. Now.
Are we about to see New York go back to back, back to
Again?
back,
Like last year, holy shit!
back
If they
to
had
back
Dynasty,
to
they
back
get
to
2
back,
wins in a row.
bro?
I mean, we see three O's on Sunday, and then it goes to FaZe versus New York, and even to this point, I was like, New York is still gonna lose, no matter what. I was like, New York's still gonna
Me
lose.
too.
They're not gonna win. But like we said, this year has seemed very scripted because New York ends up winning, and now every top 4 team won a tournament this season.
There's not a bone in my
Like
body.
I predicted. I
Yo,
said
Brian,
New
Brian,
York is gonna win, and then Anthony was like, "Nah, if they win, it has to be luck."
Yeah,
They won
Brian, I was
6
about to say, what did he
matches in a
say?
row.
There's not a bone in my body that tells me New York could beat
I
FaZe.
didn't think
It did not
they
beat luck.
would. I mean,
And
to be
then
fair, they didn't look great, and then
Anthony said it has to be luck if they ever win a tournament this year. And they won 6 matches from losers. They beat Toronto. They beat Seattle. They beat LAG.
they
They beat
didn't beat Seattle. I don't
everybody.
think.
Didn't they go against Seattle today? Or
No,
this?
they beat Minnesota.
Minnesota, LAG, Toronto, and FaZe. 2 of the top 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean, FaZe has a problem, obviously.
One of
Fa-
the better
Go
losers
back.
runs in
FaZe, yeah, I mean, I
See-
think,
probably the best.
I mean, you had a lot of good losers runs. I think Optic obviously had a really good losers runs for Major 3 as well because they beat New York, Toronto, and FaZe, I think. And
Oh, true.
so, like,
But this is like from round 1.
yeah, I think
Round
Optic
one.
lost after the next round. But yeah, I mean, it was obviously a really good losers run out of them. Hydra was playing really good, and FaZe just has a
FaZe.
problem. They just cannot win. They just keep placing second place.
I want to mention that tweet I sent you the other
Yeah, I was
day.
gonna say it, but I was like, yeah.
So basically, I saw a tweet the other day, and I sent it to Ant that said, FaZe has the same amount of trophies or championship wins as Optic since Vanguard. Now, that is I mean, it's kind of obvious why FaZe just seems like the more dominant team, like the most dominant team. I would say that's just because of how constantly they play second. I mean, you know, last year they were second like fucking what, like 3 times,
4 times.
4 times. Like that is wild. I didn't say that. Like yes, they're a good team, but I feel like they look at get in there. Like what I feel is like the issue here is that they get too cocky. Not too cocky, but like they get in their own heads. Like they become dominant. They're like, oh, like we know we're like better than everybody else, and bang, second place, second place, second place.
One thing I do want to mention about that is that like they're literally like Friday, Thursday. Okay, not Thursday. Wait, actually no. They play Thursday through a Saturday team. But when it gets to Sunday, they're fucking ass. Like they used all
Yeah,
their fuel on Thursdays to Saturday, and on Sunday they don't show up. They do not show up. Like they just go into Sunday like, yeah, we're gonna win, or like we already know
after
we're
I
gonna
saw
win.
that, I was like, FaZe is the opposite of Optic. Like comes out strong. They freaking look freaking like they're gonna win the whole thing, and then they lose. Optic,
On the day it
they
matters.
still look good. They still look good, but you're not like, oh, like they're not gonna win. And then they do. They play really well. That's what I feel is gonna happen at champs. I feel like the bar set very low for Optic right now. Not like insanely low, like to where like they're gonna play really bad, but lower like low to the point where like you wouldn't after seeing what Optic, how great Optic
I
has been
mean,
playing. Like
You're not. I think they're gonna win, kind of
it
thing.
yeah,
could be.
you don't think they're gonna win, but you definitely think like they're
They
not
have a
gonna do
chance.
like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it could be me just being an Optic fan, but I definitely think Optic is not like counted out in any way. Still, I think every team plays bad, and obviously they fell off super hard, and they have 2 weeks now to prepare and fix what they had, and they don't really have any other chance to fix it. They need to do it's now or never, and I think if they can win an S&D, like I think they'll be fine. I it's it's hard to say because I think champs is like almost like it's all like a brand new start. It's like almost like nothing matters anymore. It's just champs. So
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely can't count out like any top four team anymore now, especially because New York actually looks like they caught up to the other three. So
New York goes back to back 2 years in a row is insane.
yeah,
Dynasty team.
it would definitely. I mean, you can't really call it a dynasty team. They switched players.
Yeah,
Honestly,
definitely
it's like
Dynasty org.
basketball. It's like basketball or like sports. You know, if
I
the
think New
Dodgers
York.
win back to back, they're still a dynasty team.
I think New York is one of the. I think they've won in every title, haven't they?
I don't think they won in
Um,
Vanguard, did they?
I don't think they won in Cold War, have they?
I think they just won all their championships in the last 2 years. They won three.
Yes,
They won three last year.
and won this year.
One this year.
And they won one in
Oh, they won one in another
2019
year too. Yeah, there you go.
with when there was a Tats and Zoom on
So
W
Oh,
Squad. I love that squad.
Modern Warfare
Yeah.
I mean,
and Mac.
that's the thing. Like people like to hate on Optic and say like they can't win games too. But I mean, if you think about it, they were Huntsmen before, so they've won four. Like
Yeah.
To be fair, that fucking format was ass. That was a free dub format.
yeah, but I mean, hey,
I mean, a chip's a chip.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Optic has four. FaZe has what, like five, 6 or 7, probably somewhere up there.
It's like you gotta think about it. Like, does freaking Shotzi really have a ring? It was an on that like that shit was cheese. I'm not even gonna lie. The whole Dallas winning champs online, but I mean, it was the only way they could do it. At the end of the day, a chip's a chip, but pretty cheesy, guys.
Yeah. Plus, the format was like only certain teams were invited to home series, and like if you were like a top four team or top three team, and you're going against fucking ass.
Yeah,
It's
Like-
like if like this game, like say you're going against fucking Boston 3 times, like and you just beat 3 Boston teams. It's like and then you just win a chip. That's how it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think obviously the CDL, this is the most competitive it's been in probably a minute. I mean, this is the first time we've seen. I
it's
think,
the most scripted it's been.
yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen a different team win every tournament. to my knowledge.
But last year, wasn't
No,
it this kind of?
New York won 2 last year.
Yeah, New York went back to back last year, and the year before
Well, they didn't
that.
go. Well, they won Major 1 and
Oh well, yeah.
5.
And then the year before that, what was that?
Vanguard.
Vanguard. LET went back to back.
Yeah, LAT won 2 that year as well. And then the year before that, I'm pretty sure FaZe won
Yeah.
like like a decent amount. I'm pretty sure, right?
Before Vanguard.
Cold War. FaZe won the.
Three.
FaZe won. They won
Champs.
3 that year, and
Yeah.
then they won champs. So they won 2 and then champs.
Yeah, so I mean, like, this is the first time where it's like a different team's winning every tournament. Although we've been kind of saying like this is the most lopsided we've seen it, it's also the most competitive we've seen it because
Yeah.
it's not just a top team, it's lopsided because there's a top 4, which has made it, in a sense, kind of more interesting.
More entertaining to watch.
Yeah. But obviously, this results in New York winning a tournament. So
Congrats to them.
congrats to them.
I feel
Obviously,
like Paco is the best player. Wait, okay, can we talk about that real quick?
I mean, obviously, I think we're gonna do MVP stuff for sure. Like,
Okay.
and during these next 2 weeks, we'll do like actual awards and stuff.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. Run it down. Awards. We'll have a name for it. It'll sound better than that.
Oh my God! Run the awards. Let's go.
We'll have like our own, like, no matter the actual MVP that the league gives and the Rookie of the Year.
Call it ran it down.
Like,
And everybody that
we're
won
gonna have,
ran it down that
We're
year.
gonna have our
Type
own
it.
All-Star team, our own MVP. We'll have our own. Don't worry. But obviously, yes, Hydra's been one of the better players, and this we can't. I think, in my opinion, we can't apply recency bias though. I think
No,
obviously.
but it's not recent.
How many majors are there?
We'll talk about it after.
There was 4, and then there's champs in 2 weeks.
To 5, and technically the World
Yeah.
Cup after, but that's not technically.
That's not-
counted.
Same company. I mean,
It's not
It's
the
not
league.
single
It's not a
league.
part
Yeah,
of the
that's
league,
not-
so it's
yeah.
technically not the same thing. But it still will be cool. But obviously, I think Hydra's been really good this year, but they were never good enough to win a tournament, and he did have his inconsistencies at some points, but he was still really, really good. And Hydra was the best player last year, and he's been one of the best players this year. But in my opinion, I don't think he's been the best. But
We're talking about most valuable player. Most valuable.
if
Yeah.
we're talking about MVP,
Valuable.
I won't
For
say
that
I
team,
won't
yes.
say who my MVP for this season is yet, but I think Hydra's definitely it's definitely a contender. It's not Shotzi. It's not Shotzi. If Optic won this, maybe. If Optic won this tournament, then he would have been up there. He definitely would have been there. But
What if he played like ass, but everybody else played like really good? What if like Shotzi played like ass like during the tournament, but they still won?
I mean, I think even now they played like ass, and he's still up there. But he's not like. But I don't think he's gonna get it. But I still think he's top 5 for MVP.
Top 6, I agree.
This guy just goes an extra number. Top 6.
Top 5.
But obviously, New York wins a tournament, so I mean, Hydra puts himself honestly up there for an MVP contender, because New York hadn't won a tournament, and now that they've won one, winning a tournament, I think applies a lot to being an MVP. So it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Wait, no, Brian, we're done. It's gonna be Dashy.
It's not gonna be Dashy. You
Stop
guys
saying
know who it's gonna be, but you guys are just gonna make it obvious.
Oh, it's gonna be Pred.
No, imagine Pred's been the worst on Optic.
Dude.
Oh, it's Kenny.
But I still wouldn't drop him though. Personally, I don't think anyone needs to be dropped. I think it's insane.
I'd pick up Hydra.
If you can get, that's the only way I think Pred would be dropped. Only
If they
way.
picked up Paco,
Yeah,
Paco?
only way.
I could see that happening.
Paco and Brandon on the same team. Oh my god.
The only way Kenny or Hydra gets dropped is if Optic can get Scrap or Hydra. Otherwise, you don't change the team. There's
Wait,
no
wait,
reason.
So
Scat.
you're saying they either drop Kenny and pick up Scrap, or they drop Pred and pick up Paco?
Like they could do both, but
Oh
that's
yeah, or both.
but I'm saying like if they can't get either of those people, you keep the team. In my opinion,
Wait,
Oh yeah, 100%.
wait, Hydra, Paco. What am I saying? Hydra, Scrap, Dashi, and Shotzi. That's an
no,
insane
that would be
team.
fucking ridiculous. I'm not gonna
That
lie.
would beat FaZe every time.
It's not gonna happen. Let's be
They're
real.
going undefeated the whole
That
year,
would
bro.
that would not happen, but that would be
Yeah.
Wait,
insane.
You can count on one of them, any one of them, to just pop off. You can count on that.
I want to see Ghosty, like, as much as I want to see him on LAT, or like I want to see them build around him in LAT, try to make a good team. I want him to be on like a successful roster next year, because that dude plays way too well to like barely have made it to champs.
I mean, he got Optic second places twice.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of players like players that you don't see like normally play like amazing. Like sometimes they just shine. I mean, even on Optic, a big part of them coming in second place was Hook. Hook is playing really good up until champs. He played horrible at champs, but
He-
but
Constant.
like before that, he was playing really good. He was like one of the best subs in the game at one point, and then
Mhm.
now he's on Seattle and he's just kind of there.
He's doing better.
He's
doing
okay.
better.
Like, I mean, I don't think he
He's
was doing better
clutching.
than he was on Optic, but he's
Hell no, but
but
he's been playing way
but he's
better.
been playing okay. But it's like that's what I'm saying. Like you can, I think like just the team environment in general like changes so much. In who you're playing with. Like obviously Ghosty wasn't in the role where he needed to get kills like that last year, and now he's on LA Thieves and he has to. If he doesn't get kills, then no one is. So it's like.
Because everybody's ass. Fucking Joe Disease.
Kind of, basically. I mean, no offense, but
He was like Splash on the fucking Seattle sauce. He had to get every kill, or else we're not getting our three. We're not getting our kills.
the thing is, like, honestly, I mean, LA Thieves, in my opinion, just looks like a challengers team. Like, that's just how I see them. Same with Seattle, but like, they just look like a team that just came out of challengers and they've just been playing together for a bit, so they're actually good. Like, but I don't know. I feel like we've known LAT to be a team that kind of has like strategies and plans and stuff like that. But I mean, you lose Kenny, you lose Octane, then those are your like. I'm sure Ghosties, yeah, he's an IGL, but who the fuck else is making play calls on that team? Like I don't see it.
I don't know, though.
And like kind of going back like with like replacing and like changing people, like even for Optic, like if you're not getting Hydra Scrap, like I don't see there's no one else I think you get improvement out of. Like you're not gonna get like obviously Simp's not gonna leave. Simps and Abizi aren't leaving FaZe, so it's like
and they're a package.
Yeah, and obviously like you're not getting any better than Pred unless you get really Hydra, really, or you're not getting. I mean, Kenny obviously he's very underrated, but I don't think you get much better than Kenny besides like Scrap on at least the main AR like IGL, and I don't even think Scrap's really an IGL. So,
I mean, nobody outside of FaZe.
Yeah, so it's like.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying though, because no one's that FaZe isn't changing. Like there's no.
Oh yeah.
FaZe will never change unless they get second places.
Unless they like are just not winning events, but like they're like getting second places.
If in 1 year, like a whole COD year, they place like third, second, and don't win a chip a whole year, I see them changing. Draws is probably dropped.
But it's like they can't drop Draza because he's low key been like really good for them, as much as I hate saying it. Like, why did they have to drop Slasher to pick up Draza? No, I know. Let me like, why did they have to drop Slasher to pick up Draza? Because they needed someone else to get those crazy plays and be consistent. And Draws has been doing that. Draws has been good for them. He's played good. He's done well. He's doing what he's supposed to do. But FaZe still doesn't like, they still choke every like now and then. They still don't have like that ice in the finals. So I mean, at a certain extent, you might start to think, is it maybe the three people that have been on FaZe this whole time, and it's not just the one person that keeps flip-flopping around everywhere? Like, because in my opinion, I don't think Draws is the one that should be dropped if FaZe ever drops anybody. Because
really, you can't drop Cell. He's undroppable.
well, that's the thing. You can't really drop anyone on that team. Like, but Draws has not played bad. You can't drop him. Like he it's just it'd be faded in my opinion. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What is going on in here?
That kind of ruined it for me though.
What is happening in chat right now?
Ants being an L-mans.
I don't know. There was something going on. I was just. She said weird. I was like, oh, let me answer.
I'm the one who asked it.
But anyways, now we can get into the slides. It's been an hour. We've been chit chatting.
Damn,
But
an hour?
yeah.
Jesus. 3-hour
Um,
podcast.
It's not gonna be that long. But yeah, obviously last time we did go over we tried doing the clips and all that stuff first, so we'll do that. But obviously every time a major happens and the winner is determined, we always do a slide in honor of them. I tried to change it up a little bit this year to make it this major to make it look a little special, a little different. So obviously showing all their games that they played in this in this last major. Obviously, yeah. Congrats to New York. Congrats to them and them winning this major. They obviously had a really good losers run.
Damn. So out of all their games that they won, they never dropped more than the map.
Yeah, except FaZe, yeah. But that, goes to best of 7. It gave me a war. Yeah. So obviously, congrats to New York, and following this up, we obviously are gonna
Hi,
go.
girly.
Hello.
And following this up, we go into breaking points.
Oh yeah.
Best plays, because for the majors they do the top 20 best plays because
Shots he's made.
obviously.
Alright, let me know, mate.
For these, you go to 0 though, because they don't do a preview like.
Yeah.
All right, is everyone ready?
Yup.
Wait.
Brian is not ready.
I'm almost ready.
This is why I always have the slides pulled up.
My fault.
Half of my screen is the chat and the podcast. The other half are the slides.
Pressing play. It's not happening. Oh, okay. Go to 5 seconds, right?
No.
No, 0.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Shots he's managed to sneak on through. Kenny on the outside. They've got the momentum. They've got a massive lead. Let's go for a listener with Optic Texas.
They didn't even win a game.
Oh, this is fine.
Oh my god!
All that to loser series, bro.
My man's got to get the bomb, plant it to India with 2 players, but Abizi just repositions, goes right back to his spot. The smoke is down.
How are we? Hi.
Craziest
We don't get many of those.
Yeah, clap it up. I like
I
that.
fucking
I
hate
see the
this guy,
occasional
bro.
assassination. It is all down to Skies again.
Yeah, Ghosty got his kill before Kismet was able to get that trade, so another big pick, and Sky's in a clutch situation, and he is spotted. And DVDs with an SCW, not ideal. 2 players in front. He's just running for
How
his
does he
life.
not die
Just
there?
watching his player cam. He's dodging, diving,
no.
hoping.
Oh,
Holy
no. You can't let that happen. This is
That's
lined up
not
for him.
okay.
He's got 2 teammates pushing up the street. You win one there if you're attached, things might get interesting. But as he drops, now you kind of have to bully your way through the front. The crossfire is in.
That's 1.
And now it's really all on Nero. He's going to be the last guy up. He's still a top
Oh my
There's still a minute
gosh.
20, and Nero's going to get 3.
He didn't make
Shots, he
champs.
found the route. He's completely behind enemy lines, unchecked,
optic?
free first blood.
1.
Oh, yeah. Shotzzy dropped 6.
As an MCW now to play with.
Oh yeah, the cameras or the cameras on the
That
setups
might be the
do them
round,
so
folks.
dirty, bro.
And he's on a 4 spree. Yeah, if you're
It looks like
optic,
they're on
oh my
Fish Island.
Just trying to spot bomb, see if anybody's on it. Sip is going to drop now. All
Dude.
on to draw.
When LAG choked this, I didn't even talk
Yeah.
about it. I forgot about this. Dude, LAG choked that game.
As LAG get choked out.
They were winning
Fall down.
5-2.
Ultra push forward.
And your sons and nades are going to have to be perfect to get out of the base. The trophy, well, going to help out inside a little bit. The gunny is
Oh
not,
my
but
God.
Envoy lining them up and knocking
Okay,
them
Envoy.
down. Quad
That's a
feed,
fourth
why don't
Envoy.
you?
Envoy's
Insight.
first highlight in
Who's
the
here
past,
to
like,
watch
2
it?
majors.
Always heads up, 3 down in the feed, and all 4 again. A stranglehold on the
When
map.
did y'all start
by
watching
Heretics.
pro play?
Feeling the heat.
Back, come back. We might be looking at another
2014.
1-3. Inside. One more.
Whenever
And it's
Black Ops
3
2.
quad
So-
feeds in a row.
so
Lucky finally
10
ends
years
it,
ago.
But Scrap keeps the pressure on. Fly forward. Crip. The gunfight. They've arrived.
Did you say
There's
Crip?
a trophy. My God, it's not over yet.
2.4. It's 2.4. You gotta
Oh.
go for the
Crip
contest. It's
from
gonna
the
be
hip.
in and
Oh,
Crep.
no.
Not there in time. They get a little bit extra, and look who's on the A zone.
Oh my God. This is it.
It's in, bro.
They line up for Sib. The capture. Complete. A complete and total collapse.
That's
That-
not be able to give it to. Yeah, no.
that guy
Vehicle's gonna stay
invested in his
alive, so
game.
absolutely no space on the map. And Real funneling through the left side. Couple players
Dude,
by
I was
Green Tarp, and
watching
he's got the angle to make it
Back then,
happen.
back in like
Pushing
2018
forward.
when he had
Joe
it
deceives with the defense. Real still though.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
2016.
Real. He is cooking.
Sim didn't mean
Look at
anything
these
like that until,
angles.
like,
A fade away
recently,
for the
too.
Cruise.
I
But he
mean,
never
we're what,
changed his
like 30 seconds into this round?
Nah,
just
we don't-
about, and
nah, I was
he
gonna
is
say, you better take
7-0.
that back step.
This man has found his spot, and he's got Beagle watching his back,
Oh,
so
no way.
what a read, feeling the pressure.
No way.
We don't
It's
fuck
9.
with Simp
Minute
around
20
here.
remaining on the play clock. Don't think that's going to come into play, but
Kismet
they're going to go for it. They're
Yo,
going to go
Kismet
for it.
has been
Kismet was
really
trying to
good
flip
in this
out.
fucking
Kismet
game.
don't find two.
Nah, we don't fuck with
That
Simp.
might be the
We don't
double
fuck with
and
anybody
Dave
on
finds a
base.
triple. Give them
L phase,
more.
L phase.
Yeah.
Kismet calls game.
They had Simp. Yeah, Loki had
But
him.
normally, like, you make a 4-man push through red.
True,
it's
true,
at least
true.
like a 2 for 2. That just
Okay,
never
okay.
happened. And look what this has turned into, a 70-point lead
Oh,
for
shit.
Seattle Surge. Multi-kills all over the board. The team is locked after that map
Oh,
3
shit,
win. And
look
look
at
at that angle. That is disgusting out of 0-4. They have no info on the full flank.
Oh, I remember
Still
this.
in the hands of Nero.
This is
He
a
loves to
one-way
play
right
inside
here.
of it. Nabuza finds a dead attached, but who two?
That's
Libby
insane.
involves is one.
Oh.
He's able to find both through the smoke.
It's all unattached now. Not able to win it, Surge.
Wait,
3
everybody
straight
pause.
rounds, and they take the round.
What?
What timestamp are we at?
4:30.
4:30 exactly.
Actually, no, 4:28.
Okay, I'm there.
Hold on.
Shots he's managed to sneak on one there if you're
He
attached. Things might get
leaked.
interesting, but as he
Dude,
drops, now you...
it's because I can't pause.
Kismet calls game. The round 11. Might be able to get onto A.
He's leaking. All right, let me pause.
Oh, boss call. Hold on, boss call.
Oh shit, boss, let's go. Let's go. All right. Anyway, stream. Fucking yeah, we don't like phase.
What are we at?
428.
Okay, I gotta move my car though really fast, but we can play it while I do that. I'll be back, I swear.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
Shots he's managed to
Oh my
sneak on
God,
through.
even
Kenny on the outside. They've got the momentum. They've got a massive lead. Let's go for
Pause,
this new
pause,
Optic
pause,
Texas.
pause. I'm at
Time.
433.
That's A.
Go to 428.
Shit.
He's expecting his teammates to fall.
For what?
428.
Okay. Ready?
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
They do. They're on A.
Scrap's going to have to do something as well, though, because he's expecting his teammates to fall. But Scrap being a nuisance, but with literally 0.0 on the clock, Ultra desperately holding on.
Nah, fuck with
Surely
Vickle, bro.
there's no way.
Fuck up, Dick.
Watch
Fuck
the
the
flank. They do. What a snap, Real!
Oh my god, yeah.
Freaking Real,
Oh my
bro.
god. That's going in the top 10.
Yeah, spam the Vamos is in the chat.
Zabizi on the point,
pretty
trying
safe.
to be a threat. The help is working up, trying to avoid the nades.
Yeah,
The nade
yeah.
shot's going to combo, but draws up, putting you away and sliding across.
No way.
And re-challenges.
Nah, you don't say all
He's
that.
a psychopath.
He did say that.
Oh my god! What am I watching? Draws as a lunatic.
They're hoping to hit some nades. Smoke this through, though. Insight has to reposition. Instead, Brezi's able to find him. Scrap with one. Can he get any more? He's sure can. Maybe able to save Envoy. Just now pressure to him.
Throws the smoke, smokes some staff out. Now to a 1 versus 1. It's on to Scrap. Scrap able to win it. And Scrap is frying everybody. It's an ace in round 1.
Oh shit.
Finding a crucial
He's
kill. He's going
tripping.
to find a second in the round on 60
Oh, this was
HP.
crazy.
He might find the third. Goes for the chow, but 0-4 left in another clutch scenario.
Yeah.
Freaking 04.
Just gets up with 2 HP. Hunting him down and tucked in a corner. 04 gets the kill. Now to a 1 versus 1.
Here we go. It's so delayed.
Get out, get out, get out! Oh god, 13 HP, able to
W
survive.
Maven.
04 is dancing with death. 20 seconds now to go. You need one more bullet if you were Johnny. Check is in, spots him, peek on the left, the clutch
Oh
is
my
in, the
God.
1v2 is there at 04 with a huge one.
Actually,
If
the
you are the
longest,
side of
right?
NYSL and you're finding all the kills. One player left is going to be
Oh.
Simp at a 1 versus 3.
Oh!
Able to take out one.
I saw this.
Good luck with that. Wins
The
it,
1v4.
stays up, dancing, 34
Somebody on LAG
HP.
had the first 1v4 of the year.
1 versus 1.
Yeah.
Gets eyes on him, tags
It was on
in,
this
and
map too, I
God
think.
damn!
Yep.
That's a 1v3 clutch there for Simp. And again, he
Yeah,
is
I
on
agree.
his feet and
He's like-
chirping.
Towards the A site.
We're coming
And despite
back.
the fact they don't have trophies, they do have a first blood.
That's a problem.
They got the bomb down, and they got a 99 Kiz, the Thorn, in their side.
It's a serious problem.
99
This is such a
Kids
big
was
problem.
going crazy
This is a
tournament.
massive issue. And you have not dealt with it. You gave him an ace.
Why not? Top 5 player of the week for Kismet there.
Oh, dear.
There it goes.
That's the play essentially now.
Fame
Okay, I'll stand a Fame.
1v4.
Oh, there it
Fell to
is.
pieces rather quickly. We take one out of this. MCW. MCW?
That's 2.
W.
That's 3.
1v1.
They're just handing it to him. Literally, 1v1 solo chows rolling through. The second player got zapped.
They pulled.
And now Sib's going to
New
have
York
to dig
played
deep.
like
Important
Optic,
round for
bro.
Fame on a
Yeah,
4
too bad.
spree.
round.
New
You
York
get
still
this
won
kill,
this.
you bail your team
Yeah.
out, you
They're
one
still
up
won
Kismet's
this.
top 5 play. You just need the gunning.
I'd be checked
Here it
if I
is.
was Fame.
Fame! It's first 1v4 of the season.
I'd be
That
checked if I was
is
Fame. Look at
the
Sid.
first 1v4 of the season.
Simp is on 37, trying to do everything he can, but it
How do you
simply
play?
might not be enough. Kiz doing everything
Watch the
until he
pinch.
finally
This is one
falls.
crazy, this one
Pitches
crazy
on
right
through. Skies is in. Damage is in. Doesn't finish the second, but there's 3.3 seconds remaining.
Right here,
and they're
Hydra.
going for the dagger right now,
2,
lining up.
3.
for
Oh.
Hydra, and that's the map. Come on.
Come on. I want more chow song. What the fuck was it?
Congratulations.
Yeah, bro, I
Let
would've
know
been-
for
your
your
fucking
champion Major 4, your New York sub.
Beat him in the beginning. Like, why did you talk shit back? Kill him with kindness kind of thing.
All I know is when they were lifting the trophy the whole time, I just remember Octane going, "Give us a smile, Sib." Damn, because
Go to sleep.
Sib was just not smiling the whole time.
No, for your champions here at Major 4.
Bro's
your
fixing
New
his
York
hair. He's not even
Subliners.
happy. He's
Chow, good for the characters. Beat him.
I'm clapping, Joe.
He
He's
just
that, he
literally
has that-
didn't even smile, bro.
Here's a headset here.
Well, shout out Breaking Point because they always make the majors, and those are actually plays. Obviously, I did low-key spoil it because when I hit the spacebar to pause it, it went on to the next slide because this sucks. But let me fix this really quick. Yeah, our team of the major. Obviously, you guys saw the first play already, so we'll get into that. He's on this picture. And
Shots
that is Scrap. He is obviously a big part of the Toronto team. He's the most consistent player on Toronto. I think he had every game that they won. He's always the one with the highest KD. If they're winning the game, Scrap has the highest KD. I think he dropped like a 1.3 or something against, I don't know if it was New York or I don't remember, but yeah, I mean he's just been the most consistent player this entire season in my opinion. I think he's been really good. He's one of the top contenders for MVP this season. He's on one of the best teams this season. I mean, there's not really
I would
much of an
say
argument against it.
if they win champs, he's definitely going to be a big reason to that. He might win it.
He wants to get his get back from last year.
I mean, obviously MVP is determined before champs, so.
Oh, that's true.
So it's hard to say.
Yeah,
but
it is hard.
He's definitely up there. He's definitely one of the top contenders for the MVP.
If they put Simp, I'm gonna be pissed.
But he's been really consistent for Toronto, so
yeah.
Obviously, you can't argue against it when they're coming top 4, even when they're not playing that great, or not top 4. Yeah, top 4, even when they're not even playing that great. After that, following this is a player that wasn't expected to be on here. It was a hard decision, I will say that. We had to include a player from LAG. If LAG comes top 3, you can't not put a player from LAG. It was hard to pick one because Flames was playing really well. Estrio was playing really well. Diamond Con was playing the most consistent. So it was really hard to say. But in the end, I think the player that had the most impact in a game where they beat Toronto was Estriel. I mean, why do you have a knife?
It's an RGX knife. It's a butterfly knife. It's a RGX knife. Ooh. Ah!
Anyways, Estriel obviously played really well against Toronto. He had a positive KD against Toronto. He was the reason they ended up beating Toronto, which I think in the most important game of the tournament and the year for them, he showed up big. I think he's been pretty good this season, and I think obviously this last major kind of catapulted him up there to the Rookie of the Year contender, and obviously they came top 3, and I think he has played a pretty big contribution to that. So just like we said, Scrap is a contender for Rookie of the Year. I mean, Estriel hasn't even been on Team of the Major or Week really, and he's been a little sneaky this year and kind of puts himself in a top contender position for Rookie of the Year. So
W Justice.
So I mean, yeah, shout out to Estriel. And then the next one, one of you guys can take this if you want.
I'll take over because my food's about to get here, so I'm gonna do this when I go there.
All right.
But basically, next player for Team of the Week is Simp. I mean, obviously, it's very common to see somebody from FaZe on Team of the Major. Sorry, not Team of the Week. Just because of how good each and every player on FaZe is.
So good, bro.
He's so good.
So good.
But he did have a 1.28 average KD, and like you guys see there, was the highest at the event. Highest BPR and Slay rating?
Yes.
All right, basically, Simp was doing it all for them.
He was the highest in every stat almost.
So, yeah. So, he was basically doing it all for FaZe. Obviously, FaZe fell short, as they have been. But, nonetheless.
If they won, he would have been MVP. I will
Yeah.
say, if they won, he would have been MVP, but they didn't, and that's the only reason he's not.
Simp still played well, and that's why he's on here. So, give it up for Simp, everybody.
Damn, short ass.
Just short like him, bro.
Yeah, I mean, basically, obviously, Simp was, in my opinion, he's not the MVP, but he was the best player at this tournament. He played the best. He had the highest KD by a pretty decent amount, and he was top in BPR and Slay rating and a couple hard point KDs as well. And yeah, he was just this guy was literally just destroying everybody, and they still ended up losing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for FaZe, because obviously we have a player who's playing really good, but you're still losing events, which is not good. But
I'm gonna go grab my food.
yeah, like I said, I think he deserved MVP, but unfortunately, I think MVP kind of is reserved to the team who actually wins the event. Meaning, we all know who won MVP,
Yeah.
and that being Hydra. Go ahead,
Go
Brian.
you, Hydra. Um, I mean, Hydra's Hydra. You know, he's always the one who's always popping off for the squad. Is their main carry basically. If Hydra's not doing good, they're not really much. They're not really winning the games and stuff. But Hydra went on a takeover series ever since they lost the phase in the first round of winners, round one, dropped down to losers. He has been everything. Like I saw a stat, like he basically didn't drop down a 1.1 KD in every losers game that they played. Like he always had above a 1.1, and he popped off, and it was a reason for their success in the losers bracket. Um, but yeah, uh, they had a 1.19 KD and he constantly carried for New York. And he only went negative in round one versus FaZe. Every other game after that, he had a takeover series. He popped off. Basically, was the main key factor to winning this event. Him and also like we talked about before, it can't be just Hydra carrying. So this event, it was Hydra and Kismet. It was 99 Kiz this event too. But obviously, Hydra stood out way more because he was the main slayer. So that's another thing. So shout out Hydra and congrats on MVP and Major 4 MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Hydra, I think obviously Simp was first in everything and Hydra was second in everything. But Hydra's the one that won the tournament, so you got to give it to the guy who won the whole thing. And they made a losers run, so he played more games. So it's a little harder to keep the stats that Simp had if you're playing. They played 7 games, where I think FaZe only played 4. So obviously the what's the word, the sample size is a little bigger for Hydra, but
You know who else the sample size?
huh?
Did you know what else the sample size?
What is that?
Simp.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that. I don't know why.
I'm gonna just get my camera off because I'm eating. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, Major 4 MVP goes to Hydra. And shout out to the Major 4 team of the majors.
Shout out to
Hydra, Estriel, and Scrap. Clap it up for them. There you go.
Yay.
Obviously, following our team of the major, we have our usual weekly slide of our hot takes. I think this is going to be, we're not going to have this week is going to be a hot take, but we're not going to have one for the next 2, I believe, because there's nothing to have hot takes about, because there's nothing going on up until right before Champ starts. But even then, it's kind of hard to come up with a hot take when there's not much going on right now. But for now, this is going to be our hot takes. Up to you guys who wants to start. I can start, or you guys can start, however you want to do this one.
I got it. I'm gonna go in the same order we always going. Basically, my hot take for the week is that we're gonna see a team outside the top 4 winning. Now, I remember when I initially told Ant this, he was a little shocked. Thing was definitely a little hot, but I feel like this past major, we've seen some teams play way better than they have. Placing a lot better than they have. Now, Ant did bring up a really good point about how Optic playing bad definitely, I guess, influenced how that bracket played out, which is true. But the team still looked good nonetheless. So, like we saw LAG play really well. They placed top 3rd. You know, we have other teams like Heretics who are just become expectedly good at times. You know, it's just, and then even then, like how Ant mentioned earlier, it's champs. Nothing from the regular season matters anymore. It's all just whoever turns up at champs, that's who's gonna win. Whoever goes and plays the better card that day will win. And I just personally think it'll be somebody super unexpected because everybody's expecting a team from the top four to win. So I'm expecting the unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been saying anything can happen. Like you said, it's the best team on the weekend, not the best team of the entire season. So it could very well be a team outside of the top four. And I know we've been saying it's only matters for this weekend, and the past doesn't matter. But in a sense, it's kind of hard to argue against a top four team because even if we're saying the season doesn't matter, you have the stat of the fact that top four teams against the other 8 teams. So the top 4 teams against the other 8 teams have an overall record of 97-16. And that includes
that's wild.
And the 97-16 includes the fact that Optic lost 5 of those. 5 of those losses were Optic in this last major. So before that,
11.
Optic was 22-1 against the rest of the 8 teams. And Atlanta is 24-1. And Toronto's 27-3. So obviously a team outside the top 4 is probably, I know I said New York would need a miracle, but that's not just a miracle. A team outside the top 4 is going to need to play the best COD they've probably played in their entire life.
They need to pull an LAG.
Probably more than that. Because you're going to have to go through multiple top 4 teams this time. And because everyone starts in winners now. There's no team starting in losers. You're going to play a good team in losers. Regardless.
I would actually be happy if LAG wins champs.
I mean, it would be insane. And
I'd
you can't like realistically you can't rule that out. It's just the way COD works. But
especially after the last major.
But if you think about it and you think about the numbers, this isn't the chance of a non-top 4 team winning it. But the chance of a non-top 4 team beating a top 4 team is 16%. And that's just beating them in one game. Let alone having to beat multiple is probably under 10%. And then winning the whole tournament, probably under like 5.
But if they do, I'm getting my prize picks.
So, I mean, like, you can look at the stats, and I mean, 16% just to even win a game against a team in the top 4 is not great chances, let alone having to beat multiple. Your chances are slim. But it's a hot take for a reason, right? So.
Of course. So can I say mine, or is he still talking about his?
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
I think FaZe are gonna choke another grand finals. I feel like FaZe is gonna it's the FaZe that we know and LAN. Like they're gonna Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They're just gonna run through a lot of these teams. There's not gonna be much upsets until it hits Sunday again. I think there's gonna be a choke incoming. I don't know why. I have a feeling that they're gonna be to grand finals again, and they're gonna go against another team, and then that team is just gonna outplay the fuck out of them. And what I think is that FaZe is gonna beat a team. That team is gonna go to losers finals, and then losers finals is gonna come back and win the event. It's not gonna be a team that's in the winners finals. I think it's gonna be a team that lost to FaZe prior. That team is gonna come back and beat FaZe. And that's a hot take, because how dominant FaZe is. I just feel like they're due for one.
They're basically saying their only loss at champs is gonna be them.
Grand finals, yep, of course.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely.
It's a hot take for a reason because it's sizzling hot right now.
I don't know.
But
I don't feel like it's that hot.
Yeah.
no, it's
I feel
pretty
like
hot.
it's realistic. I feel like it's definitely realistic. Because I mean,
Are you
if we
saying that?
if we do a prediction right now, FaZe is probably in the finals.
Are you saying that my hot take is finally realistic?
Yeah.
Bro, you're pissing me off. My other ones were realistic, and it actually happened.
To be
3 of them
He's
are.
fair,
saying your hot takes aren't the opposite of his now.
What do you mean?
I feel like this hot take is reasonable. I don't feel like I just think it's a take.
You can't count it out.
Yeah. I think it's possible. I'm just saying if we made a prediction right now on the bracket, we're putting FaZe in the grand finals, no? Like we obviously our predictions aren't for another 3 weeks or 2 weeks, I mean. Our predictions aren't for another 2 weeks, but at this point, I would have FaZe in the finals still.
I mean, their percentage of being in finals is like 80 something.
It's definitely up there. It's so I mean,
so if you're betting against that, you're like we're insane.
Yeah. And then I guess that leaves me. I guess obviously this has kind of been I've been saying something similar to this and changing it up kind of every time. I said at the beginning of last major qualifiers that a top 4 team wouldn't would start in losers. I also stated that. What else? There was something else I said too, but I've been kind of on this trend of that there's going to be a top 4 team that disappoints or gets upset or something like that happens. And I think that's going to happen again. I think Champs is going to there's always a team that crumbles at Champs. It happens every single year. It happened at LAT last year, they crumbled at Champs. And I think the year before that, what was it, Vanguard? I don't remember, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I feel like teams always there's always a team that crumbles at Champs, and it's like, damn, I thought they were gonna actually have a good chance of winning it. And I feel like that happens every year. It's almost like inevitable. And so someone's gonna crack under pressure. Somebody's gonna get upset, and there's gonna be a top 4 team that doesn't make the top 4, which in turn will get one of those other 4 teams into top 3 or 4. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like LAG happen again. A team like LAG, Miami, Seattle, or Thieves end up in top 3 or 4. I think it's. I don't think my take is that hot either. I think it's honestly pretty possible.
Yeah,
but
very possible.
But I draw the line at winning. But top 3, top 4, I think is. I mean, you got a 50% chance. I mean, it's lower than that because you have to play top 4 teams, but it's definitely doable. Brian's gone, right? And Brian's
definitely
gone.
Very doable.
Yeah, and that wraps up our hot takes for this week, which leads us into one of the last 2 segments of this podcast. The next one being just a slide of the results of the things that have happened this season. Just kind of a short recap. Obviously, we kind of talked about how the top 4 teams, each team has individually won a tournament. Toronto Major 1, FaZe Major 2, Optic Major 3, and New York Major 4. We see we see it on the left. It's the top 4 teams that have won these tournaments. LAG wasn't even potentially going to make Champs, and they pushed themselves all the way up to 6th with coming top 3rd. They get all the way up to 200 points.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is crazy, but it has a big impact on the bracket. Now you have LAG playing Optic, and Miami gets pushed down all the way to 8th, where they now have to play FaZe, and they were in, I think, 5th. So they were in, I think they were tied with Seattle for 5th. So obviously Miami gets the short end of the stick, but I mean LA Thieves does as well. I think both these teams were above LAG, and I think LAG gives themselves at least a better shot because Optic's been struggling. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna put out predictions or anything yet, but I will say that, in my opinion, the 7th and 8th are not spots you want to be in right now, and obviously Toronto and FaZe just look so dominant.
Agreed. In New York.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, New York may have won the tournament, but I don't not give Seattle a shot in that game. So it's like, it's definitely going to be an interesting tournament. Obviously, all year we've been seeing a top 4 versus non-top 4.
Toronto definitely has the easiest matchup going in
Were they playing against Thieves?
Thieves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then FaZe play Miami.
Yeah.
And then Optic play LAG, and then New York play
Seattle.
Wait, who does? Oh, never mind.
I'm not 100% on the bracket because I didn't look at it, but if I were to guess, this would mean that FaZe plays Miami, and they play the winner of Optic versus. Oh wait, no, New York versus Seattle.
And then Optic plays Toronto.
Optic
basically,
plays
if they do win.
Yeah, Optic and LAG versus Toronto and Thieves. Would make sense. So could be interesting. I mean, even in losers, we could have some really good games. We could end up seeing, Seattle. I mean, honestly, all these games look good. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting. There's not a single game here I honestly complain about. I mean, LAG looked really good, so them improving so much makes all these matchups interesting, even for potential upsets. So it'll be exciting, and we'll get to see. Obviously, I have the question mark there because we don't know who's going to win champs. And it could be one of these top 4 teams that's won every tournament, or it could just be, one of these other 4. Anything can happen. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. It's crazy, though. You look at the game win percentage. I mean, LAG 38%, and they're in 6th place because they just played really good on LAN. So that's shows you just gotta be good on LAN at least. But that's the last slide for the podcast, which means we will wrap up this podcast with one last thing, being the thing that we do at the end of every major. It's tier list time, boys.
Let's go.
As you can see, here's our result from the tier list from last major 3. Obviously, we'll look back at this, but just to give you guys a sneak peek, this is what it looked like, and we'll compare it with the other one once we go through this. So, obviously, the things we know for sure is that it's hard not to go by the standings of how they actually are now, of the fact that the 8 teams that are in champs are going to be above the other 4.
Okay. So, put FaZe in S already.
Now, here's the thing. Actually, I was thinking, in my opinion, where do I do it? I think it's worth adding another. How do I add one?
Right there, the arrow.
Add row below. I think we add one below and put an F for Boston.
Yeah.
And leave them there by themselves.
That's fine.
Because they somehow managed to get even worse. But yeah, I mean, obviously, some people do it differently. I think obviously we didn't have Optic in first, even though they won the last major. But some people say if you win the major, I mean, you're automatically the best team at that point. So you could argue that you put New York first.
I think you put every team that's won a major in S. But I feel like Optic should be last.
Based off of current performance, yeah.
Based on what now? Like right now.
But I don't know if we should all put them all in. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I guess. But the thing is, like, I don't feel like these middle-of-the-pack teams, like, there was a point where we had a gap between those teams. And then there was a point where there wasn't a gap. But now I feel like it's hard to put them so far above because I feel like they have it.
It's hard to put Optic S now, especially after how they played last.
Okay, then put put
Just
Optic
'cause
A by themselves.
With the way they played last major, I don't think they're A.
A either.
Just because they won an event doesn't automatically put them.
Okay, but
Well,
they just lost one
yeah, I
match.
still
They
think they
lost
should
one
be an
match.
A.
I think they should be an A. They only lost one match this last major because they only had one match to play.
Because they're
So
still
we only
top
saw them
4.
play once, and they lost the game 5.
Yeah, well, yeah, based on how they did the whole year, because they did well.
We're talking about the whole year.
I'm just basically saying, based off of the team in general, I know that all they have to do is win an S&D, and they're not playing that bad. Like, they just can't
And
win an
control.
S&D.
And control. And they
Well,
can't
even
win
in control, they went 4-4 in control.
No, but they haven't been winning controls. They've been winning 2 hard points and losing the control.
Yeah, I'm saying they had a 4-4 record in control, like a 9-3 in hardpoint, 9-2, 9-4, like somewhere like that, and then like a 2-10 in S&D.
I'm saying they're not a bad team, but it's hard to put a team at A that went 1-7 in the fucking things and then got rounded in the tournament.
I agree to an extent, but I feel like if I put them against any other non-top 4 team, I would still say they win. Like, just based off of pure like talent and believing that they'll finally win an S&D because they'll fix something.
We're talking on land too, not just online.
I mean, I'm just saying in general, based off of how
Their land looked identical to their online. That they lost in the exact same way. Or they're not in the exact same way. They lost for with the exact same reason.
I'm just saying I would still predict Optic to beat every other top 4 team, so I don't see me putting them under any of them.
Also, with everything you just said, it is why they're an A. If they didn't do all that, they'd be S.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Because everything you just named is why they're A. Because if you know, because without everything you just named, they're an S tier team. But because of all that happened right there, because of online, because of land, because they lost to Miami, which is why they're A. Because they're not losing. They're not losing like fucking. They're not getting 3-0'd. They're not getting 3-1'd. They're getting 3-2'd.
And
Game
like
5 against New York, against Toronto, against everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, a team has, like, let's say we're in an NBA season and their team in first place ends up losing 10 games in a row. They're still going to be in 4th place, 3rd place. You know, like, I still think they're good enough to be, for sure, like, in my opinion, we're going to, if we were doing predictions, I would still put them above the other 4 teams. If it's them playing another top 4 team, obviously that's a little sketchy and scary.
Yeah, I'd have them at 4th.
So I mean, I feel like 4th is and A is fair as well.
Alright.
Do you think they're B right now yet?
I think it'd be
What, C?
B.
Oh, B. But if they're a B, you'd have every other team that's not top 4 C.
I think they're our out of the top 8, the bottom 4 teams. I think as of right now, I think those teams can beat them.
Whoa, I got it.
I mean,
Okay,
I
you're pissing me
think
off.
they can beat them too, but I think they can beat the other 3 as well. Like I'm just saying, like, if you like told me to predict, I would give the slight edge to Optic still. Is even if it's by a little bit.
It's fair.
But obviously you have Ultra, New York, and FaZe. The order, I mean, if we want to base it off of the last major, then you have New York first. If you want to base it off pure talent, FaZe is probably first. But if you want to base it on matchups, I mean, Ultra might be first because Ultra beat FaZe multiple times. So, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you could almost put them in any order.
If we're going off based off pure talent, I'd have Optic and S. But if we're talking about like just like For example, like how we're talking about
I
like
think we're just
recency,
trying to consider everything together.
everything together.
Like just them as a team.
I mean, yeah, this is going into champs, right? So think of it as in like how I think of it as in like if I had FaZe playing New York right now, I'd still pick FaZe.
Really, I feel like if it was grand finals, I'd pick New York. If we're talking about who's winning champs, like kind of tier list kind of thing,
I
like
mean,
the
this
the
isn't tier.
highest team, the highest team is like the best team looking to be like the winning champs.
In my opinion,
I
FaZe is the favorites. That's how I see it
They use the favorites,
to win
but I'd
champs.
have it. I'd have it as New York is the favorite in terms of like. It just depends, bro. If it's for Ultra and Phase and Grand Finals, Ultra, I'd have Ultra. We're talking about like who's. It's just so hard, bro.
I mean, but you can't say like just in grand finals though. Like, let's just talk odds wise. I think FaZe has the best odds, and I would go
How's the best
FaZe
odds?
Toronto, New York.
Odds wise, yeah, I'd have it as that. Yeah, it's odds. Yeah,
That's fair.
that's fair. 'Cause that's basically almost like what you like, who you think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a tier list. It's opinionated, but I mean, yeah, I
Yes,
still
of
think.
course.
I mean, we've had FaZe as the best team basically in almost every tier list except the first one or the sec. I think it was the first one because we had Toronto first. But I mean, FaZe just looks the most consistent, and FaZe is the only team I think on this entire tier list where I'm like they're gonna make grand finals. Like that's how I think of them. Like they're gonna come second at least.
Second or third, yeah.
I'd be shocked if they come third. Like I see
I
them
mean,
being
they've
in the
been
grand
third
final.
before,
I know, but I'm just saying like
especially this
they're
year.
just like the team where I'm like they're gonna make grand finals probably. Um, Personally, I think Toronto had their worst LAN of the season this year. I think they had a unlucky loss to LAG where they just didn't perform. They had a lot of close games and they just had a bad tournament. But I mean, we've seen what they're capable of. We've seen them beat FaZe online just in this last qualifier, and I mean, it's hard to predict. New York came out looking really good. I mean, you could argue that New York is above both of them, or even in the middle. So it could really go any. It could go anyway.
I mean, yeah, because New York just beat Ultra and New York just beat FaZe.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
So on land, they can beat FaZe and Ultra if they wanted to
yeah, I mean,
in a pretty dominant fashion.
if anything, if we're going based off momentum wise and who's looking the best at this exact moment, then I think obviously it goes New York FaZe Ultra. So it's hard to say. Personally, though, I mean, obviously, the more we talk about it, I think it just makes more sense based off of how these teams are playing right now. That I think New York FaZe Ultra makes the most sense.
I agree. I agree with that.
Hmm.
Obviously, you have Optic in A. I think they should be in A by themselves, personally.
Even though it came last, I still think they're A.
Yeah. It's hard to obviously like we can kind of move these teams up here because they're the teams that are in champs, and we'll kind of sort them out as they go. I think obviously Carolina and Vegas were unlucky to not make champs. I think both of them were really good towards the end. Minnesota, I think they should stay where they're at, and D, I just think they weren't good.
Hmm.
But I feel like Vegas was really, really close to making champs, and Carolina had a really unlucky like.
If they were set up how they were supposed to set up, I think they would have made champs 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina definitely had a really good chance of making it, and they just a lot of things did not go their way. I do think Carolina and Vegas. It's hard to decipher which one you would put in front of the other. It's really difficult, I think, because both of them are they're very similar when you think about it. Like they're very very similar situations and teams.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'd give the edge to Vegas personally.
Yeah, I mean they placed higher. They were literally in the tournament for a pretty good amount of time. Carolina only lost only had one match and they lost it against Toronto. I mean, you're going against Toronto, but still, you know.
Yeah. This next part, it's a little hard because I mean, do you go LAG, who just came top third, or top three? I mean, LAG just came
I'm gonna be
top three
honest.
on land, but at the same time, or do you go the order of the bracket of the standings? Is Seattle the best team in this scenario? It's hard to say.
I think on land, LAG is definitely the better team. I think the best team out of the bottom four. I think this order that it's in right now is fine, but just swap Miami and
I
I was
do
just
think
about to
Thieves
say
is the
that.
worst team in this
Yeah.
right now. That I
I
do
Unfortunately.
really
agree
would
with.
have had the exact same thing.
I honestly give an argument that I think Miami's really good. I think Miami is honestly, they had to play Toronto and Optic, but they looked good against both, and they could have beat Toronto, and they did beat Optic. They had an unlucky game against Thieves, but I feel like Miami's honestly not bad, and I do feel like LAG, although they play good on land, it's really hard to even put them that high up, really. So it's hard to say.
I mean,
Because I think
Miami almost beat Toronto.
Yes.
LAG did beat Toronto.
Seattle almost beat Toronto as well.
Almost beat Toronto.
I mean, was it New York or Toronto? It was Toronto.
It was Toronto. It was Toronto. I feel like this order right here, right now, is perfect. Personally.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
I agree. For sure, Miami has to be above Thieves because Miami. I feel like Miami's the better team.
Miami Thieves are last no matter what.
Yeah, and Miami and Seattle are. You could argue they're interchangeable, but I think
Seattle's
I
better.
think Seattle and LAG are more interchangeable than Miami and Seattle.
Yeah, I think Seattle's better than Miami.
It's hard to say because honestly, I almost want to make an argument that it's like this in the exact order of the bracket. I think the difference is that Miami, it would be like that, I think. But I almost argue that LAG really isn't like better than Miami or Seattle. I mean,
I think they are.
Although they had a good event, we have to think about it, right? They went 2-2. They came in third by going 2-2. They beat Toronto and LA Thieves, but then they played against FaZe 3-0'd. They played against New York 3-0'd. They got slammed. Like when they played against top 4 teams. They just had one. They caught Toronto off guard, off rip. And I think, like, obviously we've known LAG to be a good top 3 team. I mean, a good land team. But
I mean, they had definitely the hardest matchups, I believe. I feel like the only easy matchup they had was against.
I think maybe this might be a faded take, but I feel like it's Miami ahead of Seattle. LAG first, though.
Yeah, I think LAG's
first, Miami second, Seattle third. I feel like Miami's better than Seattle for sure, and we've seen that. Miami has always beaten Seattle, no matter what.
It's hard to say. Cause even then, it's hard, and even like I'm thinking personally, like, what if Miami beat LA Thieves and Miami was playing LAG in winners? I feel like Miami might have won that. Like, so I don't. It's hard to say.
You're going against Miami versus LAG.
Like if if Miami beat LA Thieves, they would have played each other. So I'm saying like Miami, I feel like could have won that. I feel like, but I mean they wouldn't. I don't think they would have got 3-0'd at least. But I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, if we want to play it safe, I think obviously putting LAG, Seattle, Miami, LAT is the safe option.
Or LAG, Miami, Seattle.
I don't know. Miami, I feel like is putting Miami above Seattle. I feel like is.
I mean, Miami's the better team against Seattle.
But I think Seattle's just a better team in general, at least recently.
Like better potential. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, better
just
potential.
because they are just so good at S&D. But so is Miami, to be fair. It's
And Seattle has been losing their SMDs a lot more recently.
yeah. I mean, they took Toronto to a game 5.
And they lost SMDs against.
I don't think Miami didn't take Toronto to a game 5, right? They choked They choked against Toronto.
They choked their hard point.
And LA Thieves. They choked against LA Thieves as well. So I don't know. I think maybe we're thinking about it. I think probably where we have it now, I think is personally, I guess this is the best. This is the best compromise between all of our opinions, I think.
Well, you're the only one with a different opinion. Me and Brian agreed on the same thing.
Yeah.
He's saying Brian's saying Miami above Seattle.
That's fair. Those are the two that I was most concerned with. I knew I wanted to put LEG first, and I knew Thieves was last. Then in the middle, it was just kind of like I'll just kind of go off of the thing.
Well, oh, it's you guys then. If you feel like you should put Miami over Seattle, then you guys overrule me.
Overrule.
It's up to Ant. He said it's fair.
No, I think it is.
But do you agree with it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an interesting tier list.
W tier list.
And then we can compare.
Hey, where'd you go, by the way?
He's eating.
Huh? I was yeah.
I was eating on cam, bro. Turn it on.
And the one on the right was Major 3, and the one on the left was Major 4. So, after Major 3, we had FaZe, Optic, Toronto, and New York in A. And then Miami, Seattle Thieves, Carolina, LAG, Minnesota, Vegas in D with Boston. Vegas is obviously struggling a lot, and they improved like crazy.
Well, I mean, Miami, Seattle, and LA kept their spot.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas jumped up a lot.
Yeah.
Had a really good performance on land. Vegas.
I like how both FaZe. I like how both Ultra's always been third.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because I think we see FaZe as more consistent. Ultra has a lot of inconsistency sometimes when they play.
Yeah.
And I think
Ultra will lose to the most random team.
Yeah, and I mean, I think New York obviously won the tournament, so they kind of just passed everybody. And Optic plays so bad, so I feel like if Optic didn't play bad, then it would be hard to pick those top. I feel like if Optic had a decent major, this top 4 would be a lot more harder to decide who goes where.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, not too many changes, honestly. Just a couple jumps here and there. But yeah, there's our tier list, our final tier list for, I guess, the season, or maybe if we make one going to the World Cup, we'll see. Actually, maybe after champs, but this is, and obviously you can take out these teams, and these are the 8 that are in champs, and one of these teams is going to be a world champion. So it'll be an exciting weekend, but that's obviously going to be in 2 weeks. So leading up to that, we'll maybe do some fun things on the podcast episodes. But obviously, we knew this one was going to be a little bit longer of an episode. So
2 hours.
Yeah, 2-hour episodes. So it is a long one. But regardless, we appreciate everyone who was watching, everyone who was in this chat, in this episode, and was here listening and hearing us yap. The next episode is going to be our 20th episode, so that'll be exciting. We'll have our our 20th episode that came a lot faster than I expected, but
Yeah.
right before Champs. So Champs is coming soon, faster than we I think expected. It kind of went by a little fast, honestly. But yeah, we'll basically be crowning two world champions in like 2 months because we got the World Cup and Champs. So it'll be exciting. No more online COD, just straight LAN. So
Finally.
So we'll see you guys next time.
Oh my god.
Obviously,
Oh my god.
we appreciate everything, all the support, all the
Yo,
comments, and everything like that. And as always,
Yo, Brian.
we will be running it
He's gonna say
down
it.
with you guys
Oh
next
my
week.
fucking god, I'm done.
Adios,
What the
peace
fuck?
out, and we'll be seeing you guys next time. Peace.